Hello, welcome to the Mug Talk podcast where we talk about books, reading, writing, and sometimes food because food is amazing. I'm your host, J. Faith Kenney, author of The Neuron Duology, and today we are talking about books this episode. We are talking about 5 elements I really enjoy seeing in books. Now, these are not tropes. These are like sometimes what's on the cover, a little bit like extra on the inside. And so I'm just going to call them elements. They probably have a proper name, but I'm just going to say elements. And let's get started. So the first one on the list is math. I want to say that I am my favorite genres to read is fiction, but fiction that is fantasy or sci-fi, science fiction, or dystopia. Well, those are my top 3 favorite genres. Anyway, and I really love when in the books they have maps in them. I really enjoy maps in books because you can follow the character's journey, especially in if the book is set in a time which most fantasy books are set in not necessarily a time period, but like a place where they don't necessarily have cars as transportation. They have to do horsebacking or by sea or even withering, and the Actar series, for example. But yeah, I just really enjoy maps because you can just follow their journey. You can see how pretty they are, and most time, 9 out of 10, the maps are beautiful. They're not super complicated as real maps are, but they're just beautiful maps, and I think they're a nice little piece of artwork. For example, being a nice piece of artwork and following the journey, I am currently reading the Homage series. I think that's how you say it, but the first book is called Heart of Mist by Helen. I'm not going to say her last name because I'm going to butcher it, but I'm going to spell it out for you so you can try it. It's Scheurer. That is one example of a map that you can really follow along. It's pretty crystal clear that you can follow along on their journey. So the next thing that is on the list is author notes. Not necessarily Q&A with authors, even though I do like that, but these are notes by the author that they just make to the reader, that they dedicate to the reader, and I really like this. Now, I have not seen this in too many books. In fact, the one that I have seen it in is The Outsiders, which I think it was I want to say maybe the 40th anniversary edition. I don't really know. I could go grab it off my bookshelf right now, but it's kind of buried because I have to stack my books. That's why it's buried. But yeah, I don't know if they just do author's notes for anniversary books, but I really enjoyed the author's note because you really see who they are. How do I explain this? In their note, it is just their voice. It's not their character's voice. And I think that's really interesting. Like I said, I haven't seen this a lot. And the only one that comes to mind is The Outsiders by S.C. Hinton. And if you haven't read it, it's a classic. Totally should. It's just a great book. The third thing, which I personally love, this is my favorite thing in a series. So let me say this has to be a series because it won't work with standalones. And that is numbers on the spine. It's telling you, this is book 1 in a series. This is book 2 in a series. And I really like that when it also has the number on the spine, but then also on the cover, it has this is book 1 out of 3 or book 2 out of 3 in a series. I really love when this has happened because we have probably all in our lifetime read a book series out of order and not meaning to. I read, I think it's called The Princess Frog. I don't really know what it's called. I don't know who the author is, and I think that is the title, but I'm not quite sure. But I was reading it for a school project, and And then I was like, oh, I really like this series. And then I kind of like stumbled upon the second book, which is actually the first book. And I was just like, wait. For when I was reading the second book as the project, not knowing there was a first book, because there was no numbers, I was like, this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't really know what's happening, but it was a fantasy book, so I didn't know if it was just throwing you in like some fantasy books do. I ended up kind of figuring out, but there were still some pieces left undone, and that all could have been fixed if it had numbers on the spine or and words on the cover saying but 2 out of 3. I don't know how many books are in that series. And a book series that come to mind is the Selection series. There are 5 books total, and they have, which I really enjoy, it's not numbers on the spine, but they do have, this is book 1 out of 3, book 2 out of 3, book 3 out of 3. I really enjoy that. Oh wait, there's 5 books. Whatever, you get the point. And another example of this that I can name is Neurhunter. I made sure Neurhunter had book 1 out of 2. Well, book 1 and the neuroduology. And then there's also a number 1 at the spine. I like that, and I just love that when series have that. It's very helpful to the reader. Number 4. I personally love, and this is for hardbacks, when there is a art underneath the jacket. When you take off the jacket of the hardback and there's just this beautiful piece of artwork. It could be as simple as a bird, like for example what I'm thinking of is a Map of Days hardback. It is just like a kind of a simple bird, but I just love any type of detail, any type of art I should say, underneath the hardback. I think it's really pretty and it adds so much more to the story. Well, kind of to the story, but it's kind of like, I think of it like a double cover, because you get the real cover and then you take off the jacket and there's like another little piece of artwork. Sometimes if it's like a duplicate a little bit of the cover itself, it still is amazing. In fact, when I get a hardback book, I always take off the jacket, and I always get excited if there's a little piece of artwork. I'm sure there's probably a real name for that, but I just don't know it at the time. And there's just this little piece of artwork, and I just get so excited because it's like a little secret that you discover. It's a little secret of surprise that you discover. And then if there's no artwork like behind it, I just get a little, I'll be honest, I get a little sad and I get a little disappointed that there's no artwork for it. An example that I can give you is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. If you have not seen the under jacket art, it is magnificent. It is so beautiful, and I really cannot put in words how beautiful and just talented and detailed it is. It's on a black background, like the hardback is black and then it's in gold, the art is, and it's so good. It's just great. And then another example is the Folks of Air series. Now I know there are different prints and I don't know exactly which version, which print I have of the Folks of Air series, but the hardback, and how I can say this, maybe some of you would know, it's like the jacket is kind of a black and then the undergrow hardback is a white with details on it, and those details is also beautiful as well. In fact, I have a little bit of a story, is that I was showing it to one of my friends, and who also was reading the series, was reading at the time, whatever, and we were talking about it, and we were just gushing about how beautiful the artwork is, and we just started laughing kind of at the end. Like, we're such nerds because we're just talking and loving the under jacket art of this book. Anyway, that's just a little story. Anyway, number 5. Number 5 is what I like to call page of help. And this, I don't know like the necessary name of it. It's just like little extra things that kind of help you with through the series, especially with fantasy, if there's like new worlds and new realms or whatever. And I really like the little extra page of helps for like names. For example, Actor series has like I don't think it's in all the books. I know in one of the books there's just a little chart on how to say the names. Maybe it's in all the books, I'm not really sure. But I like that. I also like how it has like a little help or a little guide for how the systems are set up. For example, in the neuron or duology, there is a little page called tenders because like the tenders are their jobs and that's kind of how their work system is set up. So yeah, I really like that, and I kind of think of it almost like a preference of the fiction, because you know how in nonfiction, well, and mostly memoirs, how they have a preference of the book. I really think of it like a little help page as like the preference. Like here's a little information that can kind of help you, and not necessarily you have to read it then and there, but like if you start reading the book and you kind of like, oh, I need a little help, you can just flip to it that. And I really enjoy that because it's just, for me, you can understand the story more, and it makes the story more enjoyable because you're not like, oh, what's going on? What does all this mean? Or getting frustrated that you can't say a name properly, or how the author kind of wanted you to say the name. So yeah. That is my list of 5 elements that I enjoy seeing in books. I am curious to know, what are some things that you enjoy seeing in books? It could be like Q&As with the author, something on the cover, I don't know, maybe it's like artwork, just anything. And of course, you can join the discussion at jfaithkenney.com to tell me all about what you enjoy, like which elements you enjoy about the books. And remember, these are not tropes, these are just really elements of the book you like to see. So that is all for me, folks. I am your host, J. Faith Kenney, and you can follow me on the social media and also at my website, like I said before, at J. Faith Kenney, where you can join the discussion. That's it for this episode, folks. Have a good day, night, have a good life, and bye!